This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. To date, over 600 participators, we'll call them, individuals who were involved in the January 6th insurrection, the attempted overthrow of the United States government, the attempted overturning of a free and fair election. Over 600 individuals have been arrested, not elected, arrested and charged for various crimes. Some are making plea deals. Others pleaded guilty. Let's be proper about this. And are now trying to walk back that guilty plea. As is the case with Paul Hodgkins, who I've talked about in the past. I'm going to read from this Political article. First January 6 rioter sentenced for a felony seeks to unwind plea deal. Paul Hodgkins is claiming through a new attorney that his signature on the deal was forged. Because everything with these idiots is a conspiracy theory. Before I get to this, let's talk about the fact that any federal case, they are dotting their I's and crossing their T's. Especially one that is as high profile as these cases are. That are going to consume the American attention. They are going to captivate. Every detail is going to be covered by idiots like me on YouTube and on your traditional media outlets. That's just the way it is. So to assert that some kind of chicanery was afoot, where they're forging signatures on plea deals, one is just out of the realm of what's reasonable to assume could have happened. And two, procedurally, that's not how things work. They don't just go off the signature. You have to appear in court and say with your stupid mouth that you're pleading guilty, that you understand the charges. Reading from the article, the first January 6 rioter sentenced for a felony charge began mounting a desperate bid Wednesday to unravel his plea agreement, claiming through a newly retained attorney that his signature on the deal was forged. And getting to what I just spoke about, but the federal judge in the case, Randy Moss, not this Randy Moss, a totally different Randy Moss, expressed skepticism about the claim and noted it could even put Paul Hodgkins at legal risk, since he said under oath that he had reviewed and accepted the plea deal. So apparently Paul Hodgkins would have the federal court and judge believe that also it was a body double in court, pleading guilty and understanding the charges he was facing. Come on. Hodgkins was charged with felony obstruction of Congress for breaching the Capitol and making his way to the floor of the Senate, where images show him donning gloves and rifling through some papers left in the evacuated room. He pleaded guilty to the charge in June while being represented by attorney Patrick LeDuc, a JAG reserve officer who later deployed to Qatar, where he is assisting with Afghan refugee rescue operations. Moss sentenced Hodgkins in July to an 8-month jail term, far below the government's recommended 16-month sentence. This is something I'm seeing that is very troubling, and I've talked about it in past videos, that there is a tendency now, we are seeing preferential treatment. I don't know if preferential is the right word, but certainly soft attitudes toward how these gentlemen are being treated. One judge saying, well, he said he was in the White House. He clearly didn't even know where he was, so he wasn't planning anything. Nonsense arguments from judges who should have sharp legal minds. 8 months jail term, far below the government's recommended 16-month sentence. An acknowledgement that Hodgkins was among the first to accept responsibility for his role in the breach. But Hodgkins' new claim puts the matter into turmoil. Hodgkins had asked Moss to delay his jail sentence, which is set to begin on September 20th, until January, giving him time to mount his effort to unwind the plea deal agreement. But Moss rejected that attempt Wednesday afternoon, saying Hodgkins, quote, had not demonstrated good cause for the requested 4-month delay. His new attorney, and she is a piece of work herself, made the forgery allegation during a hearing called by Moss to address Hodgkins' claim that LeDuc provided ineffective counsel. She said she retained a handwriting expert, Kurt Baggett, to review the documents and confirm that it was not Hodgkins' signature on the agreement. So they're leaning into the conspiracy theory. They're leaning into what could only be perceived as a lie, that his signature was forged. Baggett, she said, would be willing to testify to it in court. Stewart suggested that the alleged forgery signature was one of many irregularities tainting the case. And then listen to this quote from this lawyer. "It's mind-boggling," the defense attorney said, mentioning that she is attuned to such patterns because of her work as an intelligence analyst in Afghanistan. "These kinds of things keep popping up. I'm floored." She was a military intelligence analyst in Afghanistan, so that makes her an expert in forged signatures? What? Who are these? Where do they find these goofballs? LeDuc, the former attorney, said in an email to Politico that the claim of a forged signature was insane and that he painstakingly reviewed the deal with Hodgkins. Quote, "I went over every single line of that plea agreement with Paul for about 3 hours to include the factual stipulations, and he signed the thing in front of me and then came back and re-signed the other forms as well," he said. "Nothing happened in the case without Paul's consent. I don't understand any of this. It is insane, and I'm just so over it all." Well, let me enlighten you, counselor, JAG officer, reservist. You're dealing with insane people. You're dealing with conspiracy theorists who tried to overthrow the United States government based on a lie that the election was not free and fair. You can't expect reasonable behavior from unreasonable characters. This is but one of a case unraveling. There are others that are not unraveling, but they are cooperating with federal officials to try to get themselves a lenient sentence, and they're going to flip on their pals. So this is just delaying the inevitable, Mr. Hodgkins. What do you think, though? I'd love to know. You can call, leave me a brief voicemail, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me, daily@dollemore.com. Thank you for joining me today, and as always, help me game the YouTube algorithm. You can click the like button. You can comment. You can, yesterday I made a comment about typing, "I like this video" or something, and a bunch of people did it. So that is fantastic. You're actually listening. I don't know why I would think otherwise. Anyway, I would appreciate if you consider supporting my work here on the platform, helping produce my content. You can click the join button below the video here, become a channel member, a YouTube channel member for fewer than $2 a month, or if there's an alternative, if you prefer Patreon, or if you're already giving to a creator on Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. That is my page that is also in support of what I do here on YouTube. It's not just for the podcast. Anyway, I love you guys. I'll see you next time. And until I do, be genuine. Don't claim signatures are forged when they're not. And take care of one another.